d'aquesta conversa i també per veure alguns dels seus últims vídeos.
Well, the music has changed quite naturally owing to the departure of various musicians, mainly guitarists. A lot of people usually say, what do you think about punk, seeing as when we were born, it was 76 and we were always lumped along in with groups that called themselves punk rock, but we've always been out on a limb and don't adhere to being labelled with any movement or group, and therefore we don't call our music rock and roll, jazz, disco, funk, reggae or anything. It's Susie and the Banshees.
Ens agradaria que comentéssiu les vostres influències musicals, John Lennon, Velvet Underground o d'altres. Què us interessa més d'aquests músics i quines influències assumiu?
I think it's very hard. It was almost impossible to show influences when we began because we were complete amateurs when we started, so we couldn't copy even if we wanted to. It's not very apparent who our influences are. Lennon isn't a particular influence. The Beatles at a certain period were because of sort of production techniques and mental arrangements to songs. The Velvets are always a big influence, but only in the early days.
Quina relació hi ha entre la música que feu i altres influències artístiques com l'art i la literatura romàntics i tenebrosos?
The gloomy period.
I think it's obvious you take influences from that kind of sphere more than you do sort of everyday life in a way. I think movies play a large part in some of the ideas that we put into songs, but it's more the case that something sparks off that you've been already thinking about, and that just solves something for you if you see it there in words or in pictures. It's not really a direct steal by us.
It's also something that the subjects that we choose to write about, to most people they would seem like maybe they're the only person that feels this emotion or is this ill. And I think we're just attracted to things that are either unbelievably true in that they appear to be
or completely dishonest.
Yeah, or very dishonest. I mean, it's just the relation to something that you think you might not be able to relate to, but find out that other people have these feelings, and that's also, I think, why the audience is so fanatical with us.
Se us coneix com una banda maleïda, però heu triomfat. Heu hagut de fer moltes concessions o us heu mantingut en els vostres principis?
We've kept our big principles, our grand ideals. No one particularly tells us what to do and when to do it, except for something like this. We've got the record company in our pocket most of the time. Most of the time. I mean, the major things like releasing records, sleeves for records, where you play, when you play, are all our decisions completely.
Sabem que heu tingut molts problemes amb la indústria del món de l'espectacle, amb crítics, cases discogràfiques, productors. Podríeu parlar-nos una mica d'aquest món?
We have a complete loathing for the business of music, and it's not just the business people. A lot of musicians, groups start off as businessmen rather than having a a passion or whatever to get out of their system. And it really is, the incentive is for money and quantity and not quality and any feel. So in that instance we don't socialise really with other musicians or with the record industry, hence we have a reputation for being prima donnas. But it's not that, we just don't really have anything to do with them.
Vosaltres dos, Siouxsie i Severin, feu les lletres i la música de Siouxsie, però el vostre so ha anat variant segons els intèrprets, els instrumentistes que us acompanyaven. Quin equilibri establiu dins de la banda per aconseguir el resultat musical que doneu?
I think the style that we began originally is so powerful that anybody who walks in has his style changed by what we do. I can't think of an instance of where a guitarist has influenced the way me and Sue wanted the band to, which direction we wanted the band to go in. I think it's safe to say that most guitarists do their best work when they're in the Banshees.
Us preocupeu molt per l'estil i per la imatge. Quina importància creieu que té el look, la imatge, en el resultat del vostre èxit, de la vostra influència?
I certainly get recognised a lot of places. And also I appear at places that I've never been to. People mistake me for...
On Culture Club records and things like that.
Yes. It hasn't really made me any richer, though.
Tu, Siouxsie, ets un símbol de misteri i de fascinació. És una actitud personal o és una creació artística?
It's definitely personal, and Susie and the Banshees is almost like a monster that Frankenstein created, and sometimes it gets a bit out of control, but the intention is always there to make something definitive that we want to put across. And it's not really a job, it's a vocation in life.
Com veieu el futur de la música moderna, de la música pop i rock?
I think grannies and granddads will be taking to the stage. Judging by the temperature and the music at the moment.